these people will stop at nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean absolutely nothing to um, get a means and justify their degradance and their uh, just evil wickedness. They will stop at nothing. And in saying that, you know, I want you to know that it's real difficult when you sit here and it's almost as if the American public has been lulled to sleep. It's as if we see this American nightmare unfolding all around us, and it's like ain't shit we can do about it. And I think that's the most helpless feeling in the world. But I think that that's what the powers that be bank on. They bank on us feeling so helpless. But I'm a child of the 60s. And being a child that grew up in the 60s, I was a very small child, but I remember that being a time of change, a time of revolution, a time of protest, a time of just destruction. I mean, where people were confronting the government, people were active in trying to right wrongs. I mean, we've come to a point in our society where we are a military-industrial complex. And for those of you who don't know what that means, that spells trouble. That means when the military is involved with kidnapping and raping of children and selling of drugs and bringing all this type of degradance and filth into the world and into our communities, and then arrest a small, low-level person for selling a dime bag of dope, we know that we got some problems here. And unless we attack the government from the downside up, ain't nothing ever gonna change. Because change don't come from the top down. Shit always run downstream. And you know, this situation that I've gotten myself in, it makes me think of an author that I loved as a child. I love Dr. Seuss, because although he might have had some crazy rhymes and some crazy shit going, you could take all his stories and like almost they were like metaphors, you know what I'm saying? And you could put them in any time and get the true human meaning behind all the craziness. And I think the story that comes to mind is the story of Yertle the turtle, and how the turtle named Mac. I mean, it started off something like, you know, on a faraway island of Solomon's son, Yertle the turtle was king of the pond. It was a nice little pond. It was clean. It was neat. The water was warm, and they had plenty to eat. And the turtles had everything that a turtle might need, and they were all happy, quite happy indeed. Well, that was until Yertle the turtle, the king of them all, decided the kingdom he ruled was too small. Well, I'm king, said Yertle, of all that I see, but I don't see enough. So that's the trouble with me. And as he pondered this, the story goes on and on and on, where he kept stacking turtles on top of turtles on top of turtles on top of turtles, and then he would go, look at me, look at me, look at me now. You know, I'm king of all that I can see. I'm king of the trees, I'm king of the birds, I'm king of the bees. And all while he was building his kingdom on the backs of these turtles, there was one turtle down at the bottom that just kept complaining. He kept saying, hey, I don't like this shit. Well, he didn't exactly use that language, but he was rebelling. And he said, listen, your majesty, please, I don't like to complain, but down here below we are feeling great pain. Now I know at the top that you seeing great sights, but down at the bottom we too should have rights. We turtles can't stand it. Our shells will all crack. Besides, we need food. We're starving, Grove Mac. I mean, and that's the people in the hood. And then you got all these people like Yertle up at the top, your Illuminati, who on the backs of us are actually about to break us all the way down. But it wasn't until Yertle decided to burp You hear what I'm saying? He had to burp, and I think that that's what we need to do. We need to burp, and when we burp, it's gonna shake the foundation of the hierarchy, and then that shit got to come crumbling down, just like Yertle did. He was king of the mud. That's what he ended up being. And I think that we have to look at ourselves not like turtles, but in a metaphoric sense. We have to look at ourselves as being stacked and stacked and stacked, and all the odds are against us. They're taking our homes. I mean, the government is coming in and doing some incredible stuff. I mean, it's not a coincidence that there's all these foreclosures going on all across the country. It's not a coincidence that there's race riots and people getting arrested all over the country for their political views and their political beliefs. Look at my man Don Singleman down here in Alabama, who he was just on 60 Minutes a couple weeks ago. I mean, this is a governor. This is the governor of Alabama who decides to let lottery in because he decided that the poor students, he said, how are we going to pay for computers? We want these kids to be technically sound. We want them to be able to compete in the 21st century. Where are we going to get the money from? So he had an innovative idea to allow gambling. And the Republicans, or these Illuminati, as I should say, who opposed to technological advancement in the inner cities and with the poor children, they decided to get this guy on election bribery. The exact same charges that Mike McGee Jr. is being held on, without bail, mind you, because he's a threat to the community, just like my brother McGee. So as you see, it's beyond black and white. And if you don't know the story of Don Singleman, I suggest that you all do the research and figure out what's going on in this country. Because like I said, anytime you can give an Army vet, or an Army vet can be facing 10 years because of, I mean, never with a prior criminal background, squeaky clean record. And if he did do the ill-advised thing of paying a person $5 to vote, let me ask you, do you think that the punishment fits that crime? 10 years for an Army veteran, a college graduate, a productive member of society? If he made a mistake, I would sincerely hope that a judicial system will give this individual a stern warning and maybe some probation. But to sit here and tell the man that he's facing 10 years, and the way that we incarcerate black men in Wisconsin, the state of Wisconsin, we the #1 state of incarceration. So if you black and your ass want to go to jail, come to Wisconsin. That's where you're going to go. You may not have had a record when you came to this city. By the time your ass leave, they're going to try to put one on you. So this is the kind of demagogue behavior that we putting up in the spiritual wickedness in high places. This is the entities that we find ourselves fighting against. Again, I try very hard to live a clean life. I try very hard to do the right thing, but I'm getting so disenfranchised with an America that now I see basically has no hope unless the people within her decide that they've had enough and take some self-responsibility. And I think that that first starts with knowledge. And beyond knowledge, you have to get the information. And once you get the information, is how are you going to apply the information so it can become a true living stone or lively stone in your life, so we can have some manifestations of good in your life. But if you walking through life with your head in your kulu and you think that everything is fine, or they haven't come for you yet, you just keep on living and you keep on not paying attention, because I can guarantee you, as sure as my name is Khadijah, they gonna come for you. Or they gonna come for your son, or your daughter, or your husband, or your brother